Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of Father and Sundays, the unexplainable guide to absolutely nothing. This week we have an explosive one for you.
An explosive one?
Explosive one. We are talking about Guy Fawkes this week.
I know we are.
And do you know what episode it is?
I have no idea.
It's episode 41.
I knew that.
Anyway, stick around if you want to hear more. Hello, Dad.
Hello, Connor.
How are you?
I'm not too bad, thank you very much. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Hang on, wait. Watch this, Dad. Watch. Go on. Can you reach my hand?
Watch. Yeah,
Whoa.
I can reach your hand, yeah.
You can reach my hand. Do you know what that is?
I've got a good idea, yeah.
Yeah.
Go on then.
We're in a completely different room.
We are in a completely different room.
We are in a completely different room. Throughout this week, I have gradually... We thought we were going to do 2 episodes in the old room, but it turns out we only did 1. So we haven't done a final episode in the old room, but who cares? We're now in a new room. We've literally been talking about it since day 1 of the podcast.
Yeah, we did do a final episode in the
well,
old
yeah,
room.
but what we didn't make a point out of being the final episode in the old room.
Oh, okay.
But we're now in a new room.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not too sure how it's going to work out audio-wise, because I already know there's slightly more of an echo in this room, because it is still lacking some things to fill it up, like furniture and stuff like that.
And people, yeah.
And people, yeah. We need to put more people in this room. I don't know why, but the other room seemed to lack an echo, but this one being bigger.
That's because it was like a shoebox, Connor.
Yeah.
And the bigger the room, the more the echo. If you're living in a shoebox, you're not going to get any echo.
But we'll work on it. We'll try and improve it as weeks go by, but that's just a bit of a heads up that this week, audio-wise, maybe a little bit different to what we're used to, and a little bit different.
I'm sure we'll cope.
But hopefully it won't be too bad.
No, of course it won't.
I've got a whole new mic stand.
Well done. It looks quite professional.
You've got headphones on as well.
I have got headphones on. It is a little bit weird, actually.
All this time, I've been the only one with headphones on, and now we've both got headphones on. You've just done a weird glance.
I used to have eye patches on.
Yeah, you do.
To try and null my senses and null that sense and build on the other senses. It doesn't work. No. You gave a weird side glance there. That's because there's a cartoon picture. Sorry, and I've gone off mic a little bit there. But
you can hear it now, can't you?
Cartoon picture of you to my left. So every time I look round, I see it.
Well, don't look to your right, because that's a cartoon picture of you.
I think it's behind me. I don't think I'll be able to do that.
Anyway,
okay.
Well, that was a bit of a ramble at the beginning.
It was a ramble, yeah.
Because I'm excited.
I know you're excited, and good for you.
I'm looking around the room, I'm looking at all the stuff we've done, and I'm looking at that bed, and I'm thinking, we've not put that together quite right, but because I can see something sticking off the top. But you know what? It doesn't matter, because I'm in a new room.
Wow, what is that on the top?
I don't know, it's just hanging off.
Oh, right, okay.
But we're in a new room.
Never mind, it's not my bed.
You've got a nice chair.
I've got a nice
an
chair.
office chair. I'm actually sitting in a chair rather than laying on a bed.
Yes, it is much more comfortable, but at the same token, it's a little bit weird. So
there's a jar of M&Ms and some Oreos.
There are some. There are. Yeah, you've brought
but you've
snacks.
got a little table.
I had
you
to
can put
wait
stuff on.
for what episode is this?
41.
41 episodes to get some snacks.
Yeah.
All right,
and I've got a whole new desk set up, 2 monitors, all that kind of stuff. But
sorry,
anyway.
is this podcast about your room?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So that's all we're going to talk about, yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
No. I guess we better talk about something else as well.
Guess what? Well, obviously we're recording this, and we record it slightly ahead of when it goes out.
Yeah.
Guess what tomorrow is, Connor?
It is Friday.
Yeah? It's Friday the what?
Friday the November of 5th.
Yes, it is the 5th of November. You know what happens on the 5th of November? Yeah, but do you know why it happens on the 5th of November?
Because a load of lunatics like throwing fireworks at each other, and something to do with this bloke Guy Fawkes.
Well, weirdly, right, it's not as much to do with Guy Fawkes as perhaps we were all led to believe. Well, when I say all led to believe, there aren't people telling me like misinformation, but from when I was a little lad.
When I was a young boy.
Yeah, when I was a young boy. Guy Fawkes Night was about dressing up a guy, which, like getting old clothes and tying knots in them and putting a mask on it, or a football for a head or something like that, and then putting them on top of a bonfire. I don't know at that point whether I knew who Guy Fawkes was, and then by
Can't
the
do
time
that anymore. All the synthetic fabrics in the clothing pollute the environment.
Okay. So anyway, then it was all about this Guy Fawkes. So we learned a little about it. And that if you were to believe that sort of information, like sort of the top layer of the information, Guy Fawkes was this lone nutter that wanted to blow up Parliament, right? And kill the king at the time. Well, it's not necessarily true. So I've had a little look into this, and as it's firework night, as it's a celebration, I thought I'd dig deep.
Ooh.
Yep. So
Dig
do you know
deep
what I
and
did?
you nibbled your finger? What was going on there?
Oh, something just hurt me, yeah. Do you know what I did?
You Googled it.
No, I watched a documentary.
Oh, the other thing you just sometimes do.
It is the other
Google
thing.
it or
So-
look at a documentary.
Right. For obviously, there's people that will know all about this, but if it's anybody outside of this country, then it's probably not something that they're familiar with. They may have heard of it, but they may not know what it's all about.
Yeah.
So basically, at that point in time, which was in 1605,
Yeah, that's the first time I mentioned it.
James I
James I,
was the king.
king at the time.
Yeah. And
Good
he
lad.
was actually Scottish, but he was like...
That's fine.
Huh?
That's fine.
He was. He's son of Mary Queen of Scots, and he followed on from Elizabeth.
Yeah,
Elizabeth
because
the First, as
because
she's
she
now
had
called.
no-
She wasn't called that at the time.
What was she called? Just the first?
Elizabeth.
Oh, right.
Yes. She was just a symbol.
she had
She
no
was like
kids.
Prince. She had no children, no. As far as we know, but when we established in a previous episode that she may have been a man anyway.
Right.
Right, okay. So, and the whole point of all this, and the whole point of the attempt to really assassinate the king and also to blow up Parliament, which obviously would have had all the MPs in there at the time, was the Catholic-Protestant divide.
Yeah.
So, Protestant king, not very popular. For that particular reason, lots of Catholics still in the country, all around the country, sort of not very happy that they were persecuted for their beliefs, And there was supposed to be tolerance. There was supposed to be it was supposed to be in inverted commas, an England that people were allowed to do and and have their faith in particular areas, but it was very much different from that. So he wasn't even one of the original conspirators, Guy Fawkes. He only came into this story a little way, and it is a story, a little way on, right? There was a guy called Robert Catesby, who was really the instigator of the whole thing. And him and another 5 of his Catholic friends swore an oath that they were going to plan to blow up Parliament. They were going to kill the king.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This feels like it's a lesson now because you're sitting here.
Yeah,
as
it
if
does
I'm-
feel a little bit like a
does it?
lesson.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just go through a bit of it. So he tried to get the Spanish involved, but they said no.
Is that what they said?
Yeah, they said no.
How do you say no in Spanish? You did Spanish.
It's not. Well, it's C is yes. Yeah, it's got to be. Yeah. I know I did Spanish, but as we ascertained over the years, my memory doesn't stay. Things just drop out of my head on a regular basis. So something I learned.
That's why we put plugs in your ears now.
That's one of the reasons we put plugs in my ears. Yeah. On the opposite side, and this is sort of almost like the
Australia,
beginning.
or-
No, on the opposite side
Of the argument.
Of the argument. There was a
Need to be
man
more clear
called
about these
Robert
things.
Cecil. who
Sesame
was
Street.
You're just going to look. Fingers on lips. If you're in my class, unless you want to stand in the corner with your face facing the corner.
Didn't realise
or-
I was going to school today.
Well, I'm sorry, but tell me what you know about it then. Nothing. So there we go.
I didn't say I know
Well,
nothing.
no.
I learnt this in
Don't
school.
speak until you've been spoken to. Anyway, he was a Secretary of State, right? And he was basically almost like the head of MI5 now. So he was to do with, he had spies everywhere. So he was constantly looking for people that might be trying to do something against the king, right? He also, and I was really surprised about this, I assumed torture had been going on for like centuries. Not necessarily, really. It's something. Although it did happen, it was very much a European thing as opposed to a. I know we're in Europe, or we're not in Europe anymore, but that's another story.
We are still in Europe,
right? Okay, but we are
Still
part
in the
of
EU.
Europe. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but it was very much like in Holland. It happened a lot, and in France. But he started bringing that in this country as well, which was sort of pretty scary, to be honest.
Were you scared?
I would have been at the time, yeah, just in case. But basically, they rented a room.
I thought you were going to say caravan there.
Rented a room next to where Parliament was. Parliament was a slightly different place to where it was. I think there's a car park now where the Parliament was previously, when we're talking about this particular time. It's the car park for the current Houses of Parliament, but it is a car park all the same. But they had a cellar there. But because they were really, really bright, right, they started digging to go towards the Parliament, and they kept wondering why it kept filling up with water. They hadn't really noticed that the Thames was right next to them. On there.
Right, yeah.
So you could tell already we've got some really, not the sharpest tool in the bag, you know.
Why don't they just
Certainly
take the tube?
tools, but not the sharpest. Why
don't they just use the tube? That goes up quite near it, doesn't it?
Well, I don't think everybody could use a tube at that time because it was a very expensive way to travel because it hadn't been invented yet. Okay, so...
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Basically, you know, they put... the more that they did these things, the more people had to get involved. And the more people that get involved, the more there was a chance of someone, you know, suddenly deciding or letting it slip or deciding they weren't sure that they wanted to do this and all the rest of it. So they got a guy, Robert Keyes, who was the caretaker with a name like Keyes. That's really good. I mean, I don't know if they assigned other jobs around their gang for...
It happens a lot of places, you know.
Bobby Gunpowder and Phil Fuse and things like that, yeah. Will Smith?
Yeah, he's a blacksmith.
Is he?
Yep.
Right, okay. But I mean, he was heavily in debt apparently as well, so that wasn't ever going to be a good thing, was it? Because if someone came along and told him...
to make more movies.
Yeah, well, exactly, yeah. But obviously they found out. They were so ridiculous this was, and it was getting more and more people involved. This Robert Cecil knew all about it. So, you know, all he was going to do was going to sort of, I thought, well, oh, that's right. How did it go on for so long? But what he decided to do is decided to make himself look better. So he even made sure that there was a room directly beneath Parliament suddenly became available. He did that. He made it available, knowing full well that they were going to go in there to try and assassinate the king and kill members of Parliament by blowing up the Houses of Parliament. He actually let them have the room.
It was a sting operation.
It was a sting operation, without a doubt. I mean, I had no idea any of this happened. I had no idea that really he could have stopped it before they even had the first place, because he already knew what was going on. But he let it go. He had it under control. He knew that if anything was to happen, or if it got to a particular point, he could easily shut it down. But he wanted to make an example of them, and he wanted to make himself look good. So, you know, he let this room for him. The guy who rented out the room gave his real name, Percy. So there they are. So at this point
in time, Blackadder, wasn't he?
He was Lord Percy, yeah.
Yeah.
So here they are, right? This is where we're at the moment. They've got a room. They're under the Houses of Parliament. They've got their plan. They've got their date. I wonder what will happen next. Two-minute debate.
So this is another 2-minute debate where we have a debate for 2 minutes. If you haven't heard about it before, we do a debate for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, it stops and we don't debate anymore, and that's the end of the conversation. Yeah? Do you feel familiar with it? Do you feel like you're ready to go?
Okay.
Okay, so I'll give you an argument, and you need to. Well, you'll be for this argument, and I'll be against it.
Okay. Right.
So you're for this debate. Okay, so ready?
Okay.
So the colour red has so many negative connotations that it should be banned from society, and any reminiscence of it should, if existent, should be removed. You're for. I'm against. Time starts now.
Well, I don't see the point of having so many colours anyway. So even the colour red, it's, we've got orange, we've got yellow. Why do we need red? We've got green, we've got blue. We probably don't even need them as well. Red seems to be the colour that... I don't like any football teams that have got red shirts. I think red is a danger. If there's a ball in the room, then I don't want to be wearing red, even though that's not true. So,
as in a football or
no, an actual
cattle
ball, yeah. So I don't see the point of having all those colours, and red is the worst one out of the lot.
So when you say red being the worst one out of the lot, I will point out you said you don't like any football teams that wear red, but claret is very close to red.
Claret's a completely different colour to red.
Completely different colour.
Yeah.
Okay. Also, it will make traffic lights very confusing, won't it?
That won't, because all you need to do is change the colour. So why don't you have when you're supposed to stop? Why can't you have, I don't know, brown?
Brown
to stop.
Brown means stop.
Yeah.
Right, because that really shows up well with lights, doesn't it? Travels really far.
All right. Old big chops over there. Are you talking about that? It doesn't have to be red, though, does it? Why does it have to be red? Why does red always have to signal that sort of thing?
So when the colour red...
Blue.
When the colour red...
Blue.
When the colour red...
Blue.
Shut up. When the colour red naturally occurs in nature, how would you stop that?
Eh? You need to get rid of all the things that have got things with red. Paint them.
Right,
What are you
so
talking
roses.
about? Give me an example.
Hang on, roses.
Roses. What about roses?
Roses are red.
Well, they're also white and yellow and pink.
Yeah, so what
and
happens when a
also...
red one grows?
Well, then you hide it behind something else.
How about
You don't
tomatoes?
need to,
You like
what about-
tomatoes?
yeah, but you can get different coloured tomatoes as well. You don't have to have red tomatoes. It's a myth. It's a myth
Red
that you
peppers?
have to have. Yeah, you get yellow, you
They
get
taste
green.
best, the
You're
red
making my argument for me. What?
Tastes the best. Red ones.
Best to best.
Ketchup. Tomato ketchup.
Tomato ketchup. Tomato crop.
Oh, okay.
So the interesting story that I've been telling is just
very
going to
interesting.
continue now. So they've got a place under the Parliament. They're gonna do it. They've got the date. It's all getting exciting.
What date?
It's the 5th of November.
Oh, remember that.
Don't you remember that? No.
Yep.
Well, what happened?
Well,
What
it's 7th
always
November,
happens with
when it
these
comes
sort
out.
of things? What they decided to do? They decided to warn all the Catholic sympathisers in the Parliament. So they told them, "Oh, make your excuses to the King. Don't turn up that day. Don't turn up that day, mate." So they're spreading it out. Stupid. Right. Then also one of them got the old willies, right, and decided that
What did he
he
do
wanted
with
to
his
give it.
willy?
He decided to give it up, and not give it up. Sorry, you made me talk and make out that he was giving that up, and he wasn't giving that up. He
His
gave
willy?
himself up. Yes, he gave
gave
himself
up his
up,
willy?
and basically, no, you can't say things like that.
Why?
Because this is a child friendly
Documentary?
podcast. Anyway, so he did. I'd say it was all going absolutely bananas, right? So then the next thing they did, they got to the 5th. They decided, right, enough was enough, and they stormed the basement bit underneath Westminster and found Guy Fawkes with 36 barrels of gunpowder, a lamp, and a fire starter. So they got him.
Like the song.
Fire starter, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what he sung apparently as they led him off. I'm a fire starter. They tortured him for days, right, to give up the names of the other ones. It took 5 days, but they absolutely done him in, everything you can think of to be done to someone they'd done to him.
The thing I learned
He was
as
taller.
a child is they took out his intestines and hung him by them.
No, that's not true.
All right. Were you there?
No, but there's a record of what actually happened. So basically, he blabbed on all of them in the end under duress. So they went and there was a big shootout and they killed most of them. The ones that were left, they were hung, drawn and quartered, which is very, very grim.
Yeah.
And I think that was done, hung, drawn, quartered on the 30th and the 31st of January in 1605, right? Now, Guy Fawkes actually sort of there's a little bit of confusion whether, but he actually broke his neck quickly. So instead of he fell off the gallows and broke his neck before it was actually supposed to happen. So whether he actually committed suicide or not, there's a debate on that because he was already on the gallows anyway. But that is why on 1606, on the November the 5th, the following year, they celebrated James I surviving by lighting bonfires. And that's where it all came for. It's not celebrating Guy Fawkes, it's celebrating James I surviving Guy Fawkes and all his friends. Or, you know, the guy I was talking about, Robert Catesby and all his friends, which included Guy Fawkes. So quite significant, but never was going to happen. I always thought when I was younger, it was, you know, they just foiled this plot right at the end. By the sound of it, no, they could have done it at any point in time. The king only knew on the day that they actually stormed, and he only got told on that day. He didn't know up until then. So,
yeah. Well, interestingly, I kind of knew that they knew about it for a little while, but anyway, just must be difference in education. So in terms of that documentary, so you clearly enjoyed it. If anyone wants to watch the documentary, I don't feel like there's much point now.
Rude,
because you've told them everything that happens. Spoilers.
Well, look, you know, I'm trying to make these educational. You know, like an open university sort of thing. And I don't like the fact you're dissing me when I'm just purely trying to, you know, help people.
Yeah. Well,
install, you know,
everyone comes along to let's be honest, our podcast is not known to be educational.
Well, perhaps it should be. Perhaps we should start doing these bite-sized information. We could help people out with their GCSEs. Yeah, with their GCSEs or their A-levels. I'd say that was A-level standard, what I just did.
Do you reckon?
Yeah, there's everything they need to know about it there.
Do they have to have A-levels on the...
They certainly do.
The gunpowder plot?
Bonfires, yes.
Yeah, they get on bonfires.
Yeah. Oh, they've got A-levels for everything else, haven't they? You can get a degree in lighting a bonfire, I'm sure.
Interestingly,
yes.
I feel like a lot of people know about like you've mentioned though, a lot of people know about the gunpowder plot, but not a lot of people necessarily think about it too much about what it entails. So that is quite interesting, the fact that you've gone through actually what happens and as to...
You do know this is on record now that you said it's quite interesting what I said.
Quite interesting, say very interesting.
Okay, right.
But I think it's worth mentioning when it comes to things like firework night and stuff like that. Now, you potentially, as it's quite close, people may... I don't know if the recording's picked up, but there's been a couple of fireworks going off in the back garden.
Well, we say fireworks, could be shotguns or something like that. It's where we live, yeah.
Yeah, in fairness, yeah. But yeah, so as growing up, we always used to celebrate firework night. We used to buy a bunch of fireworks, set them off in the garden. You and my uncle Mick setting them off.
He's a pyromaniac, though.
I think you say he's a pirate.
Yeah, he and a pirate.
He's a pirate.
He's a pirate. Yeah.
I remember one time. I don't know whether this should be mentioned on record, but one time you sellotaped 2 fireworks together.
Yes, I think you know we were brought up on. Playing a bit fast and loose. We wouldn't throw them at people, you know, as kids or anything like that.
Doing that, but
yeah,
no,
that's ridiculous. You don't do things like that. But in their garden, which wasn't a very big garden where I lived with my mum and dad.
In fairness,
my dad would have a fag. He smoked, my dad, and he would have his fag out of his mouth, and he'd be looking at this firework, hold it right up to him because he couldn't see it properly, and there'd be like the sparks like or ash from the fag, and he'd be going like that trying to read what it is, and you'd think, oh my god. And there was a lot that went on like that. Yeah, there was a lot of sort of ignorance of what could have happened and all the rest of it. I think
society has changed. I don't know that fireworks, like personal sale fireworks and people having them in their own home, is necessarily the best idea anymore.
Yeah, but it was exciting. We don't do it anymore because I've been banned. But
well, ever since that incident where he sellotaped 2 fireworks together, they went up. It's worth mentioning. It went up and then landed in a neighbour's. A neighbour's garden.
It was an interesting scientific experiment, I felt, but which sometimes these things go wrong.
And then we all ran indoors.
No, I think the clincher...
I had a near-death experience of a firework once as well.
You had a what?
Near-death experience.
Did you?
Yeah, when I was, I don't know, probably about 5 or something like that. We were at a friend's house, you know, with their huge garden.
Yeah.
You know the one I'm talking about? They used to have fireworks all the time.
Yeah. Oh no, but
Yeah.
go on. You can tell me afterwards. Go.
Firework went up. A couple of fireworks. Fireworks fell over and started going towards the house. Everyone's standing outside. All the grown-ups, all the adults, rush indoors to get out into safety, and they left me standing there with this firework that exploded a bit of a way off, but far enough to be a bit freaked out by it.
Oh dear. Well, I'm very sorry about that.
Yeah, you shouldn't have pushed me towards it.
Well, I was trying to, save me, save myself.
Yeah, trying not to singe all the remaining hairs you have.
I think the key one for us was when, because I like Catherine wheels. I think Catherine wheels, when they work, are spectacular. But what you really should do is get a spare piece of wood and nail them to them securely, and then go for it. What you don't want to do is nail them to the side of your wooden shed.
Yeah.
Because two things will happen. At best, you'll just get a massive, great scorch mark of a Catherine wheel on your shed, which doesn't go down very well with your wife. At worst, the other end of the scale, your shed burns down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been reasonably lucky. I think in the last few years, we've only had sparklers we've been able to use in a controlled environment. Everybody had asbestos suits on. We had we all had to stand in a paddling pool so that we were wet and fairly moist, so
Growing
it wouldn't
up,
catch on us.
Me and Becky used to put together little Word documents and like presentations, basically, of firework safety instructions.
Oh my God!
Do you remember those?
Mr. Health and Safety.
Well, this is the thing, though. We used to do it, and people used to make fun of us, health and safety. Now I just don't like fireworks particularly. I don't mind going to a demonstration done by trained professionals.
Yeah.
But when it comes to buying for public sale, buying fireworks and having them in the garden, I'm not a fan of it.
Well, you used to get
It just
fireworks.
seems too dangerous and too easy to get hold of. For example, there's been videos of people throwing them across streets at pedestrians and stuff like that.
Oh no,
it's just too easy for that to happen.
They're not like a weapon. That's the thing. But we used to get
they
fireworks.
Are explosives. They are weapons.
Yeah.
Why are they on
they're
sale?
not. That's what I mean. I don't mean they're not weapons, because they
Obviously,
can be used
in
as
America
weapons.
it's a bit different. They sell guns which actually are sold as weapons, so it's a bit different anyway. But
it's completely gone out of my head what I was about to say about them.
They're colourful.
No, what I was going to say is they do look fantastic. I mean, when we've gone to places where they've had big displays, it does look incredible.
Not good for the environment.
No. When New Year's, we never used to. We only used to have a firework night on the 5th of November, and then suddenly it became a concern that people could buy them. And they could have them, let them off on birthdays. They let them off. You can get them any time of the year now. You used to only be able to get them.
You can only get them from specialist places, though, any time of year.
Well, I'll tell you what, they pop up everywhere, and people have them all at New Year's now, because they started in the year 2000. And as that was the whole idea, that it was a big celebration, and all the rest of it. But we used to get ones for the garden, and when you'd read them, it said, stand 35 metres away from firework. Now, that's all very well, but I wouldn't be able to see them from 2 streets down. So you're already taking some risks when lighting them. But people were selling those as a normal firework for garden fireworks. And they're not garden, they're display fireworks.
Yeah, and they would sell things like the huge ones, like people could see how big a rocket they can get. In fairness, it seems like a waste of money. You're literally sending something up into the air for an organised event for hundreds of people to see. Makes sense. Spend that money, people going there to see it, blah, blah, blah. But if you're buying a firework for your family of 5 to watch from the garden or potentially indoors, it just seems like a waste of money. It just seems like you're weeing money down the drain,
Oh, now you get sensitive to what you're saying.
What do you mean?
Yes, I get it. You buy these boxes, they're sort of 25 quid's worth, and they literally go up in smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's dangerous. Animals get freaked out by them.
Yeah, I do find them exciting.
When the debris lands in
them.
water, which interestingly they do it down the seafront, but when the debris from fireworks lands in the water, fish can eat it, fish can die. Birds quite often will go into shock, and there'll be mass deaths of birds every year around that time or whatever.
This is great.
Bees get, I believe, bees get disorientated and lose their hives. and stuff like that. It really does mess with not just pollution-wise, like of all this smoke and smog and stuff like that, but also just wildlife. Just it throws off wildlife. So obviously dogs freak out.
Yeah.
Our cat seemed to.
Our dog don't, but he's deaf.
Yeah, well, we don't know, he's not deaf, but we think
he's pretty deaf.
But Maui, our cat, he heard a firework the other night and was freaked out a little bit and ran around trying to work out what's going on. It's just an organised event. Like, we love Disney, but going to watch the firework display in the evening at Disney, though they do it every day, which does seem a bit overkill, but going to watch
but you want to be there.
And they do it during the day as well.
You
wouldn't
want to be on. I know. You wouldn't want to be there on a day that they didn't do it, though. You'd be upset that they didn't do it.
The light shows. See, this is the thing. I think light shows are ways of the future, and you get those drone shows now. I think they're really interesting. The drone ones I find really interesting. They did that for the for New Year's. The year's just gone, didn't they? Yeah,
and I saw something incredible for the Day of the Dead in Mexico. This one they did over there with drones. It looked absolutely fantastic.
You can make fireworks into different shapes, rather than just big circle.
But the bottom line is, and they're having fireworks. There's a bit of a risk with fireworks in there. There's a little bit of an element of danger, and I think that is what people like about them to a certain extent. The element of danger, the element that, I know it's terrible and I know it's stupid, but people are terrible and stupid.
Yeah, I agree. I agree, they are terrible and stupid. But, I'm not anti-fireworks. I would say I just don't agree. I don't think it's the best idea for them to be on public sale anymore.
Okay. Thank you for your thoughts and concerns.
No worries. And now a word from our sponsors.
Have you had enough of Zooming and neglected your male grooming? We might just have the product that you need. So go shine all your buckles and wipe down your best ruffle. It's time for change, I think we're all agreed. Our beards are made from real rat hair, the finest in the land. We gather all the toothless crones to weave them with their withered hands. So if you have some major plans, fates of the government in your hands, pull on your tights and pop down to our shop. A great disguise to put people off the plot. What have you got to lose for Fawkes' sake?
Game time.
Woohoo! Hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Game Time. I don't know why I said hello there.
Yeah, welcome back to Game Time, and I've got another little game for you this week.
Little game.
Yep, I've got another little game, and as per usual, I've got another little sting.
Have you?
I have. So play that sting. Being the king is a precarious thing. Being the queen is no better. You often hear it said, off with their heads. It seems that everyone's out to get ya.
What a lovely sting.
It was, I know, and you always say that.
Not always. Sometimes I just move on.
That's fantastic. Look, so...
Fantastic sting.
Obviously, James I survived, right?
Yep.
He survived.
Not anymore,
well,
though.
He didn't survive because he got,
He's dead now.
He's dead now. In fact, terrible things happened to royalty and leaders and emperors and whatnot, all those sort of things.
Darth Vader.
Loads of things happen to them, right? Because they're there to be shot down, aren't they? They're there to be... There's always someone wanting to take over, and certainly in those sort of times, that was always the case, right? So I thought I'd have a little look through some people from the past, some dignitaries, some royalty, and see some of the more unusual ways people have died, right? So I'm going to... It's a multiple choice. I like my multiple choice.
It's very...
and I cannot promise it isn't going to
very
end
light
like...
conversation, isn't it?
Oh, well, we've brought... from the same people that brought you Hurdler or Murderer, right? So here we go then. So let's start this off, right? James II, right, of Scotland. Was he A, murdered? Because he was from Scotland, I thought I'd do a Taggart voice. Murdered. B, blown away. Or C, eaten by 1,000 moths.
So, what do you mean by blown away? Do you know what I mean? Like a big gust of wind?
I cannot give you any more information than that at the moment.
Because that doesn't tell me anything. I would assume he's like on a boat and the boat's been like a big gust of wind and the boat's been blown off course and crashed or something like that.
He was blown away.
Or he
eaten
saw
by 1,000 moths, or murdered.
He saw something really impressive, and
I can't believe that.
Away.
And then he fell over because he was so astonished.
Blown away.
Yeah, is that what you're going to go for him?
Well, he's not an orangutan, so he wasn't beaten by 1,000 moths. So I'll go with blown away.
You'd be correct with saying blown away.
Because you did murder just because he's Scottish.
I did, yes. It's exactly why I did it. It was a backfiring cannon. I think it was a ceremonial thing that he was doing, and he lit the fuse, but there was a blockage in the cannon, and it backfired and killed him.
Oh, you got to always make sure you clean your cannon.
You do, yeah. That's very important. That's one of the lessons you learn.
Always clean your barrel.
Question 2, and we're talking about Charles VIII.
Charles VIII?
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Of
my favourite
France.
of the Charles.
Yeah. So, did Charles VIII of France die because he hit his head on a door frame? Did he die because he impaled himself on a stale baguette?
Right. He said he's French, yeah?
C, overdose on garlic?
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Hello.
I just kicked the table.
Yeah, will you stop mucking about? It was better when you were that further away from me, sitting on your bed. Go on.
So you're saying that he got impaled by a baguette.
So Charles VIII,
overdose of garlic.
Did he hit his head on a door frame and die? Did he impale himself on a stale baguette? Or did he overdose on the garlic?
Well, door frames did used to be smaller because people were smaller.
But people used to be smaller. So
yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah, it's all relative.
He waited until I finished.
All right, I'm waiting. Are you finished?
I am now because I said it.
All right, you're right. He hit his head on a door frame.
Didn't actually say that's what he did.
And it caused a sort of hemorrhage and then he died, which is not really funny, but, Anyway.
I don't think this is going to...
Question 3. And we're talking about Bella of Hungary, right? Now, did Bella of Hungary, when he died, or she died, because I can't remember whether it was he or she. No, it is a he.
Just say they.
It is a he. Did he starve to death? Right. Oh.
You're confused now.
No, I wondered what... Yeah, I'll come to this at the end of it. Did he B, die when his throne collapsed? Or did he C, collapse while he was on the throne?
Right, so did he starve to death?
Yeah.
Did he die when his throne collapsed?
Or did he collapse while on the throne toilet?
On the toilet. Right. Now, this one, I will say, is better of the 3 you've done so far, where it actually becomes a bit difficult.
Yeah?
Because you've actually given 3 options that could be options.
Yeah, okay, so what are
now,
you...
I'm going to say that someone's throne collapsing, unless the back support falls forward, isn't going to do much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or unless it's the Iron Throne.
Yeah, that
Game
would be
of
really
Thrones,
painful. Yeah.
Die of starvation, unless there's a famine across the country, and a country called Hungary, which is what you're basing it on as well. I've just realised.
Yeah, and I couldn't work out why I done it, so I've given that one up already, haven't I? So
And,
starved to death. Well, why did they put starved to death? Oh, hungry.
Right. So I'm going to say that. See, you've put his throne. I'm going to say his throne collapsed and he died when his throne collapsed, not he collapsed on the throne, because that's the funny option.
Well, that's 3 out of 3 for you then.
Yeah.
You obviously know
I
your
talked
history.
myself out of it and then talked myself back into it again.
Okay, let's see how you do on this one.
You say I know my history. I'm just guessing as I go along.
Well, that's how people do know history. It's a lot of guesswork.
And historians.
Huh?
Historians, that's what they do.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's often
Henry
based
the
on
First.
evidence, though, isn't it?
Henry I, he died
Did he?
while eating something. Did he die when eating winkles? Did he die when eating cockles? Or did he die when eating eels?
Eels.
Up beside you.
Do people eat winkles? See, that one's... I think winkles is a funny word.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's why you've gone with that one.
Right.
Cockles is also a funny word.
They're all seafoods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it's... Well, yeah, but winkle is a funny word.
It is a funny word, but it is still an actual thing.
Yeah, I know it is. I've seen a winkle.
Yeah, I'm sure you have.
Many little winkles down the seafront.
Yeah.
That just
That's
sounds
not why
wrong.
you're not allowed down the seafront anymore.
No.
Right, okay, are you going to give me an answer?
Eels, I feel like you would have put in as well because of my reaction would have been eels. I know people would use eels to help with constipation, but that doesn't go in through the mouth.
Wow. Have you just made that up?
No, I haven't.
You've got to stop watching these videos.
No, that people would help with constipation by putting an eel somewhere.
Okay.
He choked on a cockle.
No, it was eels. His doctor had advised him against eating eels, and then he ate loads of eels and he died.
Perfect. The doctor
He overdosed on eels. Yeah, well, the doctor did tell him not to eat eels.
Did you say overdosed at the beginning?
No, I said eels. He died because he ate too many eels.
Oh, right.
Right, anyway.
I didn't realise it was an
Question
overdose. I thought it
5.
was a choking.
Sigurd I. Stenson. Sigurd I. Stenson.
Is that how
Who
you
was a
pronounce it?
Viking leader.
Do you know who else is a Viking leader?
Go on.
King Harding.
Is he?
Yeah, I don't know that for a fact, but I heard there was once a King Harding.
Right, so Sigurd I. Stenson, a Viking leader. Did he A, die from an infected splinter from a flat-pack bookcase?
Excellent. Which bookcase? Billy
bookcase. Did he B, sit on and impaled himself on his own helmet? Right? Or
Excellent.
Or C, bitten by a severed head of his rival?
Excellent. Viking. See, bitten by the severed head.
Was he bitten by the severed head of his rival, sat on and impaled himself on his own helmet, or died from an infected splinter from a flat-pack bookcase?
Now, I'm going to get rid of the flat pack bookcase.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because they didn't do flat pack bookcases, I assume, back then. And also, that most of them MDFs, you don't even get blisters from them. Or a chipboard.
Are you talking yourself into the flat pack one then?
No, I'm not. Impaled. See, the impaled one when sitting on his helmet sounds like one you would make up as well, because it's funny. But I don't understand how someone could be bitten by the severed head of their enemy.
Right.
I'm going to go with it though. Bitten by the severed head of their enemy.
Oh, I can't believe it. You've got that one right as well. So,
How did it happen?
How did it happen? Right, I can tell you how it happened.
And also, can you talk into the mic, please?
Oh, sorry. I can tell you how it happened. I have a bit of a problem with something. That's why I'm just slightly distracted for a second. So what happened was he was fighting his rival. He severed his head, took his head off. And as was the way of that time, he attached the head to his belt and rode off. But as he rode off, the head started wobbling about and thumping about because of the horse galloping and that, and the teeth cut into his leg, and then his leg got infected and he died of it.
Right, okay, thank you. I assumed it was some kind of like infection, but it's just the fact that how did it bite him, but then that makes sense.
Right, okay, so I'm glad but you're really doing well there. I thought that might have thrown you out, that one. So we're going to George II now. Right, was he A, kicked and killed by a Shetland pony? Was he B, found dead after overstraining on the toilet? Or was he C, shot by a gamekeeper?
So kicked by a pony, Shetland pony, overstrained on the toilet, or shot by a gamekeeper.
Yeah.
I could see happening because he potentially went on like a hunt or something like that, and a gamekeeper was there and trying to keep protect their game for hunt, but they didn't realise that they were hunting. Kicked by a pony.
No, he overstrained on the toilet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I had to double check because I hadn't actually written anything against it indicating what it was, and I don't remember these things, so but I'll just quickly look that up to make sure that I give you the right information.
You looked it up right now?
Yeah, I had to just do that then. That's why I was slightly distracted. So that was the first one you got wrong, isn't it?
No. I got the eels one wrong as well.
Oh, yeah, you did, didn't you? In fact, you haven't done that well at all.
Oh, wow, thank you.
Right, question 7. Alexander of Greece. Did he die as a result of being bitten by a monkey? Did he die because there was a mix-up while he was being operated on and they amputated his head rather than his leg?
Right, interesting.
Or was he C, savaged by dogs?
So is Alexander's head similar to a leg is one question.
Well, I'm guessing that they just turned the bed round the wrong way.
You're not guessing, are you? Because you're making it up as you go along.
I think that's outrageous. That's for you to decide.
So sorry, C was mauled by dogs and A was...
bitten by a monkey.
See, I could see bitten by a monkey happening.
Okay. Is that what you're going to go for?
Because I can imagine like a royalty would be like, oh, I've got this monkey, ha ha ha. And then the monkey's bitten them. The mauled by dogs potentially seems a bit too obvious this time, so I'm going to go bitten by a monkey.
You're correct. It was actually, what happened was his dog had a confrontation with a monkey.
Right, so that's where the dogs came in for you. And you made it up.
And then he tried to intervene and managed to get one of the monkeys on, but there was another monkey crept up on him.
There's always another monkey.
Second monkey. It was a second monkey on a grassy knoll.
Wow.
Right, and that monkey bit him and caused an infection and he died. Because obviously when you got... It was a bit like being that bloke being bitten by the severed head of his rival. If that was now, one, you shouldn't really do that. And two, you just get some antiseptic and you'll be all right. Okay, let's go on to number 8 then.
Okay.
William the Conqueror. Did he die of a severe case of athlete's foot? Did he die from ruptured organs, or did he die when a piano fell on him?
Oh, a piano. Was he in Toontown at the time? Sorry, did he die of... I yawned on the first ones.
Oh, thanks very much. Did he die of a severe case of athlete's foot?
Right, yeah.
Did he die because of ruptured organs, or did he die because a piano fell on him?
Ruptured organs sounds most plausible. However, doesn't sound very funny. And a lot of these things that you would have picked up when you're researching would have been because they were mildly interesting or funny.
Yeah.
So, the severe case of athlete's foot, there's a chance that he might have got, he infected foot, I guess, and died. But I could see someone trying to move a piano and him getting caught underneath it, like falling down the stairs or something. So I'm going to go with the piano.
Well, I'm not interesting or funny, and that is why the answer is ruptured organs.
Right, okay.
Because basically he had a few problems with his organs, right?
And they ruptured?
And his horse reared up and he bashed himself and he internally bled and he died from that. Nice.
Bashing yourself.
So he didn't get hit by a piano and he didn't have athlete's foot. As far as I know. Or if he did, it wasn't life-threatening. Right. 9.
Or a life-threatening piano.
Yeah. Well, I put the piano in because I said about ruptured organs, as in...
Right, I see your thought process now.
Number 9, King Charles. Don't know which one. Maybe the first one. I don't know.
We've already had a King Charles, haven't we?
We've had Charles I, Charles II. Right, okay. So...
No, I'm talking about we already had a King Charles in this quiz.
Have we?
Yeah, it was King Charles of France. Question 2.
Question 2. I'm going to have a look now. Is that all right if I have a quick look?
Yeah, he didn't overdose on garlic.
Oh, yeah. Charles VIII of France. Anyway, did he die because he was set on fire by a servant? Did he die because he was drowned by his cook? Or did he die because a moose head fell on him?
So was he murdered, or was he moosed?
Yeah, which some would say was the worst way to go.
So was he... I'm trying to think of a funny term here. I'm really trying to push it, but I'm trying to play off the word moose, so I'm going to go duck, duck, moose.
Duck, moose? You think the moose hit him?
But I can't think of something funny to say, so I'm not going to say anything funny. Glad we got that over and done with. I'm going to... A moose could have been on a wall and fallen down. I'm going to go for the moose.
Moose?
Yeah.
No.
Was it drowning?
There wasn't a moose loose about his hoose. It was actually, he was set on fire by his servant. But he was accidentally set on fire by his servant because basically he had lots of problems. He was very ill. He was wrapped up in a lot of bandages, and because they thought that alcohol had a medicinal... The bandages were soaked in brandy. The problem was, when she was doing this, there wasn't any electric light, so she had to do it by candlelight. And unfortunately, candlelight, or a candle and a flame and brandy-soaked bandages don't go well together. So he was incinerated.
Was he incinerated?
No, I don't know if he was incinerated, but he died from that. He did die
burnt
from
to
it.
death.
Burnt to death, yeah. Where was incinerated? Well, I mean...
I doubt he was incinerated.
No, maybe. I don't know whether she got fired or anything. Anyway, question 10. Edmund Ironside.
Edmund Ironside.
Great name.
Yep.
Did he die from a dagger in the heart? Did he die from a sword up the bottom?
Ooh.
Or did he die from a lance in the head?
It's a dagger in the eye.
Dagger heart, sword bottom,
dagger.
lance head.
Dagger
Edmund
heart.
Ironside in the library, in the bottom.
Dagger and heart. Lance head.
Dagger in the heart,
Sword
sword
bottom.
up the bottom, lanced in the head.
Dagger heart.
Incorrect. It was sword up the bottom.
Sword at the bottom.
He was apparently...
Ooh.
It was a bit like
I've done
Game
ones
of Thrones.
that feel like you've done that.
A Game of Thrones sort of thing, where someone had crept up underneath where he was going to the toilet and put a sword up and killed him.
I've forgotten his name.
Like Game of Thrones.
Yeah, what's his name?
I don't know.
He shoots a crossbow at his dad on the toilet.
Oh, yeah. I know.
And Mr. Bean, but he doesn't shoot anyone. He just comes up the toilet. Not Mr. Bean, sorry. Johnny English.
Johnny English, right. Okay. Your last one, I don't know what. Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Yeah,
no, I don't know
Mr.
what
Bean's
you're
very
talking
different.
about. Right, so this is the last one. Bizarrely, it's number 11, but it is your last one. Right. So Martin...
That's all right, last week there was 13.
I know. Martin of Aragon, and before that was 7. Martin. So I like to mix it up so you have no idea when we're going to finish.
Yeah.
Martin, next week, I might just do 3. Martin of Aragon.
20 minutes of rambling at the
Did
end.
he drown in his own tears?
Oh,
Did he
be difficult.
break wind and his legs fell off?
Interesting.
Or did he laugh to death?
Laugh to death.
Laugh to death, you're going to go with that?
Yeah, because if you were drowning your own tears,
Yeah.
that it's a phrase that's used, but have you ever cried to the point where you filled up a bath?
I probably cried that much that I could have caused myself some issues, yeah. But
You've not cried enough to drown.
you did at Annie's wedding.
That might have been mixed with snot and stuff like that.
Oh, nice. Okay, look,
so
it was C.
Blew off your legs fall off would mean there'd have to be prosthetic legs anyway.
Laugh to death. He did laugh to death. He apparently had an upset tummy, and he was obviously quite ill.
What
And
way
he
to go,
called
though.
for the jester, and the jester done his routine and everything, and he laughed apparently for 3 hours solid, and fell out of bed and died.
No. A lot of people fall out of bed. Do you know you're more likely to fall out of bed and die than you are to die in a plane crash?
Well, bunk beds.
No, normal beds.
Oh, right, okay. That's
Not a
something
futon,
to keep me awake tonight then, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, I really like that quiz, by the way. I thought it was,
thanks very much.
I thought it was very interesting.
It is.
I was going to say about the laughing to death thing. I doubt anyone's ever done that with our podcast.
I don't even think they'd raise a smile, really.
No. But if someone has laughed to death whilst listening to our podcast, just let us know.
Yeah. Or if their relatives can let us know, that'd be great, yeah. And we're incorporating a quiz in a further episode.
Did laugh to death whilst listening to this podcast?
I'd be
very
surprised
upset. To start with.
I'll be very upset because obviously we're not trying to reach those levels.
We're not trying to be funny.
No, this is serious stuff.
That's why we had a whole educational bit at the beginning of the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. Quite.
Yeah, we didn't want anyone to laugh at that bit
Well,
at
I
the
just
beginning.
feel now, right, I know you mock me, right, and you can tell I'm serious because I'm patting one hand with the other.
one hand with the other.
Right? I feel that I may have given people information on this podcast that they didn't know about Guy Fawkes, right? We had a little insight into the madness of our family and fireworks, right? Then we go on to a quiz and you learn about more history and more points in history where significant things happen.
Yeah.
So I think it's win-win-win.
So you feel like you've done a service in this podcast?
I certainly do. What with that and last week's one about vampires, I mean, I've armed people for vampires. I've given people tips on surviving an apocalypse. And now
And
people
Bigfoot.
know about their past.
I'm going to keep bringing up the Bigfoot one, and you need to give Bigfoot a Kit Kat.
Yeah. And people know how to deal with all this sort of a Loch Ness monster.
Yeah.
You know, all these sort of things. So,
Invented a new card for card games, 11 of Diamonds.
oh yeah, that's true. Yeah. Okay.
Talking about this kind of stuff, we've had a message this week.
Never.
Yeah. No, we
Yeah.
have.
Okay, so it's a serious one.
If I'm honest, I've read through it.
Yeah.
Don't really understand it.
Yeah. Is it from Becky then?
Well, it's actually from someone called Broccoli Green.
Oh, there. Okay.
But yeah, so it's one of these things that it confused me when I read it because it's just a statement. It's not a question. There's no real discussion around it. I'll read it to you. Subject, vampires. Message. I used to love watching the TV show Young Dracula. Do you also remember The Worst Witch? I used to watch that one a lot too.
Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, right, okay. So it was just basically a little trip down memory lane.
There's a little conversation.
Yeah, about things that you used to watch in your youth.
Yeah. I did used to like young Dracula.
Well, it's weird because when you said that,
remember.
it did confuse me because I'd been on the BBC iPlayer, and because it was Halloween, I guess, they'd put on episodes of young Dracula.
Did you watch it?
No, but I'd presumed it was a present day programme, something that had only just been done, but it obviously was something from the past that they'd just re-put on there because of the time of year.
Isn't all TV from the past unless it's... Even the ones that are live.
Yes, I know that, but you know what I mean. It wasn't currently something that had been put together recently.
Yeah,
if you watched it when you were
remake.
younger. Well, it might have been. So I don't know, and I don't think I'll ever find out because I'm unlikely to look at that.
Okay. Well, thank you for your message, Broccoli Green. I did used to love Young Dracula, and I vaguely remember The Worst Witch. But I don't know it that well. I can't remember it that well.
Grot Bags. That's not just a statement. That was another programme.
Oh,
and
right, okay.
Rent a Ghost, which was an unbelievably trippy programme, which they keep talking about bringing back, but it probably needs to stay where it was.
Where's the Gummidge is on this weekend?
It is.
Just thought I'd mention that. And if you're listening to this podcast, you will be listening to this podcast after it's been on. It was on yesterday, so watch it on iPlayer.
It's on Saturday then?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, right, great.
Yeah, this was a fun, interesting one.
Kind of. Yeah.
We just before we go as well, if you do want to leave a message like that, or you want to leave a comment, suggestion, question, complaint, you can do so on the website fatherandsundays.com, where you can go on the contact page. You can leave anything. I've also added a little box to say whether you'd like me to read it on the podcast or not. So if you have got something you would like to say but are scared that you're going to put it on there and we're going to read it out loud and you don't want it to be read out loud, you can select no and we won't read it.
We are sensitive to people's feelings, yeah.
We will read it, but we just won't read it out loud on the podcast. So that's anyone can send a message through there as well. But you can also listen to podcasts on there. It also guides you all different podcast platforms because we've got many podcast platforms we're on. Lots of different pages on there, blog page as well, all that kind of stuff. We've got our Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Remember to follow and like us on all of those. I feel like it was something I was going to mention again, and I forgot it. We've got the store as well. Helps keep the podcast going. If you do want to buy anything on the store, that would be fantastic. But yeah.
Okay. Good to go then.
Yeah, I can't remember what I was going to say.
You never can remember what you're saying. And I don't even think the following week you remember what you were saying the previous week. So each week we do this.
Well, there was something I was genuinely going to say that related to what we were already talking about.
Oh, right. It wasn't about something that might have happened that you thought you might mention. I better
mention the website first.
Yeah.
And then ended up forgetting about it.
Okay.
But yeah. I hope you enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this week.
Okay.
I've enjoyed it. It's been interesting. It's been educational. I hope you've learned stuff. If you haven't, let us know.
Okay.
And then let us know what we can do better.
Yeah. I'm glad I could be of service to you all, and I'll try and think of another fantastically interesting subject for next week's one.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed it as well, and we'll see you next week.
Okay.
In this new big room.
Okay.
All right then.
Bye.
Bye.